So, this is going to be a bit of a long spiel, so bear with me here. Thank you all for coming. I wish it were under better circumstances, but it's not. I'm sure most of you have heard by now of the ESC and now VOS blockades. Uh, they describe it as a combat pause. VOS, however, has been somewhat more honest in their hostility and has implemented an automated ban device. This is supposed to last until January 11th of next year for the ESC blockade. After this, militia members will still be unable to join us for raids to those sims. VOS has yet to state how long their blockade is for, or for what reasons, despite their leaders saying they would have a list of grievances multiple times throughout the week. The situation that brought the ESC blockade to a head is that Dark Sleeper joined us on a raid to ESC in order to ban evade. We did not notice that he was there for the raid until he was already banned, which was about over the span of 5 to 10 minutes. ESC, or more specifically NIV, has interpreted this as an intentional act of disrespect. Chaos Command sees it as an unfortunate accident and has apologized. This being said, the implementation of a 2-month blockade has exacerbated the situation, which we feel should have been resolved with conversation and accord. They have shown little interest in even speaking to us about it over voice and have pointed to other situations where they feel we have disrespected them. So it's apparent that reasoning with them isn't on the table. Put simply, we are not yet in consensus of what we should do, if anything, as a group in response to these blockades. As such, we'll be holding a command vote over the next few days, which may turn into a group-wide vote. There are a few options on the table, which I will note here. Option 1 is we play nice and appease them by simply waiting until the blockade is over without taking any action whatsoever. This is likely the route that the hostile groups will want us to take. Doing this will be the fastest route back to combat, hopefully. But it is also likely that we will find ourselves back in this situation at some point or another, as they will then see that blockading provides leverage over us. For option number 2, I'm going to turn it over to Tyro for a minute, as he was the person that came up with it.
Are you? Do you want me to go over option two before you go over three? I feel like maybe if I go over option two last, it might like
Why don't you just
it'll.
change the number, dude?
Okay. We'll go over. The next option is we ignore them entirely, simply responding with something like okay whenever their members attempt to contact us for anything. This will continue even after the blockades are over. We won't give them enjoyable combat, and we'll simply either leave our sim or grief them in the hub if they attempt to show up. This route aims to get them to focus their petulance on other targets, so they see no matter who they fight, they're always going to have something to bitch about. This will also accompany a halt in Armory Exchange and us permanently leaving any balancing Discord or community goodwill programs with said groups. So, okay, so Tyro.
Okay, so I'm gonna go up here. Hello, friends. My name is Tyro. I know a lot of chaos people here are newer. Let me give some context. I've been doing chaos things for a very, 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 very long time, and in that time, I've been very nice to people, even when chaos people have not been nice to people. And so I'm kind of going on. I forwarded this last kind of thing we're considering here because I think it speaks for how bad the situation is when I'm the one advocating for this and coming out like the first to say something about it. So last option on the table is we kind of go back to what we did before we started all the community initiatives like Armory Exchange, Balance Discussion, all this other stuff. We have no tolerance, of course, for GPU crashing, gear leaking, doxing, or abuse reporting. That's off the table. It's always been off the table. We've never done that kind of thing. Uh, but what and the reason and basically just going full toxicity. We don't besides those like zero tolerance activities, the big four. We just don't care what people do. We've noted in command that like we've been more respected in the past when we haven't engaged in like cooperative dialogue or transparency with other groups, and we're considering going back to that approach because what we're doing right now isn't working, and we're basically being treated with disrespect and just taking it on the nose, and nothing gets done, nothing improves. Uh, so you won't be asked to, if we do go with that direction, we won't ask anyone to grief with us if you're not okay with that, or you can fight if you'd like to fight in a normal way. That's fine. You can do so. But you will be encouraged to just do what you want with groups or their sims if you'd like. Now, that's based. The idea is basically saying, okay, well, if you're going to act as if we're acting in bad faith and we're not cooperating, we're not engaging in dialogue, we'll show you what that looks like. And essentially, and that includes like pulling out of Armory Exchange, pulling out of balanced discussion, ejecting people from our Discord for being in other groups, ejecting people from militia for being in other groups, etc., etc. Just going whole 9 yards. And I've said my piece on it. I don't know if you had anything to add on that, Sam.
Not really, just to finish this. Personally, I wish this vote was never on the table. I know for a fact that I have stated, especially when I'm recruiting folks, that we have attempted to end these behaviors that made us hated and gave us bad reputations in the past. However, like Tyra said, we find it extremely distasteful that we have, for so long, attempted to work with folks, to be amicable with other groups, at least initially, to share technology and be completely transparent in our dealings with them, only to be slapped in the face over and over and over again. If anyone has any other ideas, we are, of course, open to hearing about them. Once again, nothing that breaks the Big Four, and if we find out that you've done so, you will be permanently removed. If we decide on Tyro's option, we may even fuck with you outside the SLMC for the shame that brings us. So keep that in mind. For anyone whose group has declared themselves our enemies by settling their differences with blockades rather than on the field, if you're upset with us, if you're watching this video, for even considering toxicity as a response, maybe you should have thought of that before you tried actively harming us. That's all I got. Thank you. Dread?
Nope, I didn't really have anything. I am working on the Avenger right now. The aircraft pass is almost done. Helltown's out, so Avenger's the last thing. Then next R&D thing is making the hand animations work, because that's on the docket for a while and it's been requested. I finally get around to that. And then after that, because that's going to be a very, very quick release, because I'll be able to focus on it and hammer it out with the back-end stuff we already have. Then I'll be finally working on the Valkyrie and the Vulture updates, which are going to be fucking awesome. So look forward to some really cool aircraft shit soon.
Right on.
That's
Is
pretty much all I have.
anybody have anything else?
I was going to mention Sarah is also working on a model for the Tauros to have a heavy bolter on it, hopefully.
Oh, she sent me that. I'll be getting on that probably tonight.
Very cool.
We're going to
All
have
right.
actual warthogs.
Hell yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
We're doing anything about vehicle respawn timers or something like that?
I mean, that'd be cool, but like,
I really want to, but I mean, if we go the direction of like, fuck this shit, we're out. Like, I don't see any reason why to do vehicle respawn timers if like we're just not going to cooperate.
no,
and
I mean,
it's going to blockade us.
for fun groups, yeah, that we
Well,
can work.
Yeah,
on
I
that.
agree.
Yeah,
Can't
I'm just
really
gonna
wait
say
for
this
results.
on the video, so everyone can actually hear this.
Sure.
All those options are fucking retarded, and we're gonna have to talk about it because I mean, like, we're talking about getting a new Tauros model and stuff, right? There is no reason to even think about that if the intent is to not do combat. So we gotta try to come up with another option or get these guys to the table somehow and solve this in another.
Oh no, no! We're not saying we're not going to do combat. We're just saying like if the groups are going to blockade us and not do combat with us, we're not going to also have dealings in good faith with them. We'll do combat with like
Yeah.
Ashgard, for example. We'll do combat with them. We'll even like not go crazy with them.
Sure.
And like be reasonable with them, even like Silverhawks and shit like that.
We
But
could
like we're not
continue
going to
to
tolerate it from
have the
groups
open
that
armory.
have. What was that? Sorry.
Well,
Sorry, I interrupted you because I'm lagging.
So-
I was saying if there's anyone we're going to keep the open armory exchange with, it's probably going to be Ashgard because they are a normal group who understands that everyone's here for fun.
So here's the other problem though. It's like, okay, we're gonna be toxic, but how do you be toxic to people that you're not even fighting? You can't go there. You're banned. We're not really doing anything then. We're just we're just banned there. That's that's what it is.
We've done it before. Like I don't know what to tell you the
But
details there.
are you
We've
going to be
done it
like
enacted
how do
that
you
way before.
demonstrate that? Yeah, how do you demonstrate that though? Are you going to be toxic to people that don't have
I
any
guess we'll
guns?
just be blockaded forever then.
There is also the distinct possibility that if we do go with like option one and we don't do anything, we just abide by this blockade that has gone on. However bullshit that is, they're probably quickly going to realize that, all right, this shit is pretty boring because no one's really raiding us anymore. We aren't going anywhere. Nobody has anything. Oh, look, there's people of
Like,
chaos. Oh, but we can't go there. So they
Yeah,
could quickly
the
kind of
blockade
see.
groups are they're not really doing
you
a
know,
lot
like
right now either.
No.
the big thing here is something like this happens every few months. It's bad guy of the week kind of bullshit where we've been fighting ESC a lot. That puts strain on our relations because it's going to be combat complaint after combat complaint. We're the only ones that can even really match them in terms of armory and size. So they're guys, they have complaints and it builds up. They're just a little pissed off. That's it's kind of fucking retarded, but it is what it is. We can still try to bring them to the table and talk, and that's going to be the better option.
Sure,
Speaking of the
but
being,
you
we
how
had
many
a
how
pretty
many
good
times?
conversation not that long ago in there,
Yeah,
and
how
we have
many?
genuinely made quite
Yeah,
a bit of progress, even if it's
It's
hard
never
to
gotten to
keep
the
Ah,
us in
point where
there.
we've been blockaded simultaneously by 4 groups at once: CDF,
yeah.
Fed,
How
Voss, and Epsilon.
how many times though, Strelok, have you tried getting Niv to the table over voice to try and talk this shit out with you? And how many times has he accepted?
Yeah, and I mean, like, how many times have we seen this exact same thing happen between other groups in the last
Oh yeah,
couple
no,
years?
you're,
I mean,
you're
it
Sure.
not
happens
wrong
all
with
the
that at
time.
all. It's just gay furries getting.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it's
is.
also why
It
we're not
is
just
gay furries.
deciding. We're not just deciding. Okay, fuck it. Let's just pull out of everything. Like we're leaving
Right.
it up for discussion.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like I said,
I want an open discussion about this.
it's
I would like a
it's
better
going to be
option.
it's going to be a command vote first, and it may be turned over to a group vote because personally, I'm not comfortable with command just laying down the law and saying to all our people, in case we decide to go with toxicity as our response, with hey, you have to act like this
I
even
mean,
though
there's
you never
option four
even
of
though you never
just-
voted for it.
There's option 4 of just do as we've been doing and do nothing.
Yeah,
Like, that's
absolutely.
always an option too.
Absolutely.
I don't think toxicity is gonna really make a difference. I mean, if it's that many groups that are against us now, like, I mean, all they gotta do is ban you. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a big deal to them.
And there are ways of getting around bans. And they'll ban that account, sure, but you'll fuck with them first.
Not to mention, like, there's also like raid interception.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's other groups that might show solidarity with that kind of thing. Like, we've done this. Like, we've been in this situation. We've been in worse situations before,
Yep.
and it's
I mean,
worked.
I feel like if
and
you
then
have
at the
an
end of that,
ally-
we ended up like at the top of the community. Like, I don't know what to say. It's
Look, I just have a message for any of the groups watching this. Remember back in the day when we had a ton of groups? Remember how we had somewhere of upwards of 15 raid targets a group to, pick from? We don't have that luxury anymore. We need to stop doing this to ourselves and actually just fight like the old days. If you have people causing issues in your group, you should address it internally and not project it onto us. We've tried to communicate with you, and I think that that's a good thing. But please, don't disrespect us for trying to communicate with you. We're not as big a community as we used to be. We can't afford these blockades. Neither can you.
I think that was pretty well said.
Yeah, that only hurts the whole community.
Yeah, and no, that is well said, and I've said that to them myself, and I think they know that's true. Honestly, I think what's up is they just want to break because they, sometimes they get their ass kicked, they don't have fun.
Well, they should
You know,
vocalize
whatever.
that instead of doing this.
if they want to
Well,
have
no,
a
I
break
agree.
from us and just
That
say, hey,
requires
can we
a
like
certain-
go ahead, sorry.
That
go ahead.
requires a certain amount of emotional maturity that a lot of these people don't have. That's the issue.
Anyone
Personally,
else?
I think Niv will come to the table eventually. It's just I don't think that
Sure.
the other options they're not going to help. In fact, it's
I-
going to just make what they are saying now, which is not the truth, into a legitimate, real complaint against us.
I mean, I think that's also fair to consider.
I mean, they're paying money to keep their sims open and their groups running with
Even
no
when we
benefit
were
to
at our
them other than
worst.
content. So like,
Even
it's
yeah,
kind of
even
an
when we
outrage.
were
As
at our
are we.
worst too, like when we were at our worst, so to speak, we did have Armory Exchange open. We did like have transparency. So like going that route would actually be a first.
I mean, now they already have all that though, so you know, like if you close it now, what's it matter?
No, yeah, if you kick them out of the group and you revoke their access to the armory, that they don't have that access to that
Like,
shit anymore.
Oh,
And I mean, there
gotcha.
could also be a mix of things. Like, I feel like, for example, I think it's reasonable to strongly consider kicking some of these groups out of Armory Exchange if they're going to blockade us, like, indefinitely. I mean, like, if they
Yeah,
don't give us,
yeah.
like, anything, it's like, well, why do we have you in Armory Exchange to, like, look at our gear, you know?
I mean,
Yeah.
that would hinder us though because ESC has been very cooperative. In
No,
our
I said
exchange.
groups that don't have don't have,
Oh, okay,
like,
okay,
they're just
okay.
blockading us indefinitely, is what I mean.
Yeah.
ESC is not, like, they have a date set.
Yeah, but is it a case that because the ESC is the biggest group, they're potentially leading the charge for the rest of them? So once they lift the
No, these are
blockade,
GrandFed. GrandFed initiate a blockade because GrandFed and CDF are blockading in turn because Wyatt sent Sam. Fucking what was it?
An execution video.
Yeah, an
Execution
partial
Oh,
execution video, and then
yeah,
Sam
yeah.
reported that to Discord Trust and Safety, and GrandFed reacted to that by saying, "Oh, it was actually it's an abuse report. You violated the Big Four, Sam. Eject Sam out of your group, or we're blockading you." Like that's basically what happened, and I think that's the first time that's been on YouTube of describing like what actually happened in that situation.
Mm.
Oh yeah, and it's important to note that GrandFed also banned Epsilon, and they blockaded them first. In fact, over combat complaints very similar to this. And
I can remember that.
No, it
I
wasn't.
remember
It
seeing that
wasn't.
group chat.
You missed. It wasn't actually over any combat. Okay, well,
well,
yeah,
that
they
was the
banned
primary
them,
reason. Like the
but
straw that broke the camel's back, or whatever, however you
yeah,
want to put it, was like the little thing in the Good Neighbor Discord.
yeah,
But the primary reasons were combat complaints. They were getting their asses handed to them.
I thought
Fair
it was
enough.
CDF did
Yeah.
it over combat complaints, and GrandFed did it over Shiri calling them a bunch of pedophiles.
yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
so
actually, that
yeah,
was
yeah.
part
So
of it too.
that's what yes, and that's what I just said. You know, the real reason, like the primary aggregate of reasons were combat complaints, and that's just like the last incident that kind of got them to pull that trigger.
And GrandFed does have their own, and CDF do have their own combat complaints about us, but like GrandFed's demand is that Sam is ejected from command, if not the entire group, and that's like that's not even a starting point. Like
Yeah,
Sam did
Correct me
nothing
if I'm wrong, but if the Big Four and that the one that's in question relates to a Second Life thing with malicious intent to get someone banned from Second Life with either a false report or something otherwise, simply abuse reporting someone, especially not on Discord, for something that is actually something bad. Like let's say someone did something really horrible in Second Life and you wanted them off, like they were preying on people, like children, things like that, or whatever. If that reported, that shouldn't break the Big Four, and
It doesn't.
this isn't
So
even Second Life.
Well,
So like,
let's.
what's the point?
I'll talk to you about that after the meeting.
it's
just
complicated.
It
but,
is
it's
like,
complicated.
just an excuse, and it's no longer
Yeah.
the reason that they are like pretty set on never unbanning us. But
Anyway,
I wouldn't worry about that too much.
It's complicated. The short version is
Don't
abuse
AR,
report people
yeah.
within the combat community for specifically for griefing. Like that's the big one.
Yeah, that's
If
what I
you
thought.
are a content creator and you need to DMCA someone, do so. If someone is like age playing on Second Life, go ahead, send an abuse report in, but like don't like flagrantly do that just because you suspect someone, or like encourage mass abuse reporting. The big one is mass abuse reporting, but like that Sam will probably.
That's what I figured. I just wanted to make sure I was getting that.
But I mean, like even from that discussion, it's like, oh shit, you know, these guys are blockading those guys, and I was blockading like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just ridiculous. Like who's gonna be left for anyone to fight? You know, just everyone sits in their own corner and.
I'll tell you what.
I guess fucking sells their Sims and goes and does something else because
Yeah.
there's not gonna be anyone fighting. Like,
Yeah, like I would love to fight people, but I personally would rather not sit back and just take it on the chin again for people doing this to us.
Well, it won't get us what we want to.
Eh.
That's coming from me, and you know, you guys know the AN. You know how we used to act.
Yeah.
We used to act the
Yeah.
way we did, but we could get away with it back then. We can get away with it back then because times were different. The groups
There
acted
were like 50
differently.
groups.
Even the whiny groups like KPC and the Mercs. Yeah, you know, we'd go there and we'd fuck with them and we'd just piss them off to no end, but they'd still like let us come back.
Right.
These days, these guys will sit there.
That
And
just
they
illustrates.
still wanted to fight. They still wanted to fucking shoot at us. You know, these guys don't even want to shoot at us right now. It's
Right.
fucking ridiculous.
It is really pathetic, and it really illustrates how much of a pussy they're being. Anyway.
And it's funny you mentioned that. Because like
regarding
what,
real quick,
do-
regarding the whole AR thing, if you ever feel the need to abuse report somebody in Second Life, ask us first. If we tell you no, respect that, or you will be thrown out. Okay? That's an easy way to put it. That way there's absolutely no question.
yeah, I would go about it that way.
You also
Okay.
need to remember as well that all this stuff has happened before many times. Like
The SLMC is cyclical. It's always been this way since
yeah,
the early days.
it's always going to come full circle.
All right.
It'll just keep going around and around again.
Tyro,
How many headstones
what
do I
what
have?
did you
Well,
have?
I guess once we died.
What I was gonna say is it's funny Aurelia mentioned that because we have like even well before this time, like years and years ago, when we were a little bit more active, we talked about actually splitting the group in two and like having Imperial Guard versus Chaos. Like that's actually genuinely been a thing. The only problem with that is there's just not enough dev time to like redo the textures, like change the auth permissions, stuff like that. I mean, maybe someday, but like I don't see it happening.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming. Everybody's going to get 100 corruption.